we moved our family of 6 into a barn with no power, no water, and nowhere else to go. And we were convinced that we'd only be there for a few months. Turns out it took longer than we could ever imagine.
Open your eyes to golden light. There's a world of wonder painted in the sky. What a beautiful sight. It's all waiting for you. It's all waiting for you. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
We just finished relocating and renovating our off-grid home. And then we sold it to build where we'd always dreamed. But when it sold, we only had 2 weeks to leave. So we built a pole barn fast and moved in just in time. But livable is kind of pushing it. No sink, no water, no power, no shower, just a drum and a hole for a toilet. And our 4 kids were homeschooling. But in the middle of it all, something pretty special happened. And this is what it was really like, living off-grid in a pole barn.
It's for a reason.
So, it may look like a bit of chaos, and that's because it is. It is a bit of chaos. There are planks of wood lying around,
And the chickens are eating out of the dog.
shoes, chickens eating out of the dog bowl. It is brutal. Got my brother William here, and he's come to give us a bit of a hand, which is awesome. And this is our house for the next few months. This is kind of what it's like when you camp in a pole barn. We don't have any water tanks except for 1,000 litre tank. So all we do is we use that 1,000 litre tank for washing the dishes, all that sort of stuff. Now just a quick side note, that is creek water pumped into that 1,000 litre tank. And we boil the water to wash the dishes. We just fill up a whole bunch of drinking water bottles, and we just drink water out of there. Just for the time being till we get the tanks, and they're arriving tomorrow. So everything's working. It may not be the luxury that we had in our previous home, but it will be home for a time. And it's comfortable enough to camp in while we sort out the next house. For now, what are we doing, Will? We're sorting out the tanks. The tanks are turning up tomorrow, so we've got to get a whole bunch of gravel and chuck it out the back so that the tanks can sit on that nicely, and we're not going to have any damaged tanks down the track. We're going to start by going over to the neighbours, checking out his tanks and how he's put the metal down, and getting some advice from him, and then we're going to order some metal. Hopefully we can get that here today and get all that sorted because they're coming out tomorrow. The digger has arrived, Jason on the digger, and he's spreading all the metal for the tanks. Man, he's gonna make quick work of this. Take no time. Now what we're doing here is creating like a bedding or a foundation for the tanks. Jason is laying the metal down. Then we're going to come along and we're going to screed it off or flatten it off into a nice flat even surface. Hey, look how accurate that is. No little pebbles on that sidewall at all. Incredibly accurate. And so now as we sit down these tanks on this foundation, they'll compress that metal down, creating a nice flat even surface, hopefully with no pockets underneath. And that will stop them from cracking.
Yeah, all the way to the end if you can.
All of that work creating a nice, solid, flat foundation is finally paying off. Tanks are in. Woo! Our next job is kitchen, toilet and shower. And at the moment we're working on the toilet and shower block. The idea is that there'll be a composting toilet in one of these and there'll be a shower in one as well. What's a composting toilet, you might ask? Well, there are a few different designs, but ours is simple. Just a bucket with sawdust at the bottom. After each use, you cover it with sawdust to control the smell and help it break down. Once it's full, it gets emptied into a compost pit where it naturally decomposes. No water needed, but definitely something you need to get used to. For our shower, our water came from water tanks collecting rain off the roof. We used a 240 volt pump to push water through the system. For hot water, we hooked up a gas califont. It heats water instantly with LPG, the same bottles that you use for your barbecue. Turn the tap on and you've got hot water on demand. And for us, having a hot shower on site was an absolute game changer. After a couple of hours work and an extra trip to the hardware store, we finally had our toilet and shower. And sure, it wasn't the flashiest, but it'll do. And do you recognize that iron? The iron, the timber, this will all really come in handy.
Here we have our ablution block. Sounds fancy that way. Here we have our composting toilet, sawdust on the left. Yeah.
Little solar panelled light up
Yes,
there.
for when we go all the way outside in the night. And here we have our shower. It's just run on a gas califont. Basic, does the trick.
Press a button at the head and then that turns it on. Gas califont is around here.
Yeah, we use natural products, so we just let the water run through the bottom.
So it
and
just comes out
waters the
here.
grass.
That's right, and waters that big tree right there.
Yeah.
So we've got this ply over here. We're just going to use that as the bench top. We will put some reinforcement of bits of timber along it. We only require one piece of ply and that bench top will be on. Now we're building this kitchen out of these shelves that we just bought from the hardware store. And they're working really well. Like, they're cheap, it's quick, and it does the job. Pretty strong in there though. So, we have...
Kitchen bench, that ain't oily.
Jess was stoked to finally have her kitchen bench. And we got a gas stovetop. Now, gas can be very, very dangerous, so you just got to make sure that you turn it off when not in use. Other than that, worked fantastic. So, the hot tap has arrived. This here is literally a tap that you plug in to power and it produces hot water. Now I thought this would be a cheap and easy solution and it would work great, but turns out it uses so much power our generator could not keep up. Now super stoked to have this kitchen sink. We were given the top by our neighbour and William built the frame and this thing is solid.
Okay, so this is our solar panel. This is very important because it runs our fridge freezer. We lived 7 weeks without one of those, and let's just say we love having one. So come on through, here's our entry. This is our barbecue. We cook lots here.
That is an understatement. Jess, of all things, baked bread daily in that barbecue. And so, she's going to show us how she did it while we lived in the pole barn.
We've always been an ingredients household, and I'm used to baking most things from scratch. When we moved into the pole barn, I thought, I'll just buy more convenience items, especially bread, while we're in there because I didn't have a lot at my disposal in terms of kitchen equipment. But then the government mandated the addition of folic acid into all of our flour-based products. So folic acid is the synthetic version and it's not always great for everybody. We personally wanted to avoid it, and so baking bread and our bread products became important to us, again, even while we're in the pole barn. So we got a little bit creative and we decided to use our barbecue. It really wasn't too bad. All we had to do was, when I would be ready to bake bread, I would turn all of the elements onto high, preheat the Dutch oven. Once it was around like 250 degrees Celsius, I would put the bread into the Dutch oven and then turn off the element directly below the Dutch oven so that it wouldn't burn on the bottom. The hood keeps the heat in, and yeah, that was our oven for nearly 2 years. I even baked cookies in it. They were not great. The bread was good though.
An absolutely next level effort from Jess.
Come on in. Oops, that's the washing. I haven't yet hung out, but we have our kitchen area.
Now I'll just pause Jess here. In the corner there is our fridge freezer. That is run on 12 volt, and that works flawlessly with our tiny little solar system. There are 4 main components to our solar system. The solar panel feeds into the solar controller, which safely charges a little lithium battery. From that, the battery goes to a little fuse box and then onto our lights and our fridge. This could all be wired up by me because it's only 12 volt, super safe. Next to it is the washing machine. That's 240 volt. That runs on the generator. When the washing is going, the batteries for the solar are being charged. We end up installing 12 volt lighting, but until then, we're just using my work light. And this here is my stunning wife. I'm one lucky guy.
Some bench space. I cook on this little hob here.
Now this little generator was awesome. It was from the tool shed, and you just pressed a button on a remote. It would crank into life, which was perfect for whenever you use the washing machine. Unless a little rascal hasn't come along and turned it off. Joshua, press a button. And instantly we had power. We only really needed this when the batteries were low, we were using the washing machine, or charging anything 240 volt. And with that, our basic off-grid setup was complete. The first night we shut that garage door, tucked the kids in bed, blankets pulled tight. It felt like an adventure. We were on a journey, a family with a plan, and this was just a stepping stone. What we didn't realise was how hard that season would be. That garage door opened every morning and closed every night for 20 months. In summer, the mosquitoes came over that door. In winter, the cold crept in, frost forming on the inside. Mice tried to move in with us. Some nights the trap went off almost every hour. Rain on the tin roof felt comforting, until the storm came. Then the mud, the endless mud. Boots on, boots off, dirt turning to dust everywhere. Stepping out of the shower in the freezing cold. Southerlies that chilled your bones. It wasn't easy. But that same door, the one that let all of that in, also opened to something else. A view of the Willow Flats, changing with every new season. Frosty mornings where the sun would pour in, thawing out the barn. Coffee, hot chocolate, porridge, warming cold hands. There was nowhere to hide in that space. And somehow that brought us closer. God teaching us contentment. Contentment in little and in plenty. Oh, smell of coffee. Noise of cheeky kids, beautiful chilly morning, and a beautiful wife. She is the cherry on the cake. Finding beauty in every season, learning to live in the moment. Because even in the hardest winter, you know that summer is coming. And one day, we will no longer be opening that garage door, but the front door to our warm, beautiful home.
Why might tell that be on this?
Okay, hey, so boys, what did you think of our time in the pole barn?
It never ended. I think the heater in the pole barn.
Oh, the little diesel heater.
Yeah.
You like
You have
that?
to just sit outside it, just like warming in sand.
Oh, really?
One time, I was like sitting here, like and beside the heater, and then I like my head beside, and I'm like, oh, ow. What I liked about the barn is it was an adventure. It was like even adventures in books and movies aren't always easy, and the barn wasn't, but it was still an adventure, and I enjoyed it.
Libby, your turn. What is it that you loved about the pole barn life, and what is it that you hated?
I really liked hearing the peacock noises and the rooster. That was really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I also liked having the dogs inside, but I definitely did not like hearing mosquitoes buzzing around your head. That was not very comfortable.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Jess, I'd like you to tell me one thing you loved about the pole barn and one thing you hated.
Well, I loved the feeling of the sun coming in through the roller doors.
Yeah.
That was always such a beautiful feeling.
Stuff.
Everything felt possible when the sun was coming in. And what I didn't like was probably just dealing with the mud. When it rained, there was a lot of mud.
Next episode, the house finally starts its journey from across the country. But let's just say, the pressure was on.